Patrick Cook here. Welcome to session 13, which is our lucky session of our Mastering Mandelbulb3D Formula tutorial series. Now, let's talk about this inside and outside control here. Let me do a reset. I'll do a nice reset there. Now, what this means is you have three choices. You have outside render, inside render, and you have inside and outside render. All right? And all that means is that when a formula is run, the camera, all right, the camera, what you as the application controller see, you see what the camera sees. And what'll happen is if the graphic is so large, you may find that your camera is actually inside the fractal. All right, and you're not really getting a very good appreciation for the fractal design of the fractal if you're inside the graphic object. So this gives you the ability to say, look, make sure that my camera is outside of the graphic if it's so big that it would normally engulf the camera, or make sure that the camera is inside if I want it to be, all right, or let the software decide if the camera is going to be inside or outside of the Mandelbulb object. All right, now let's try this. Let's outside render. I'm going to punch that, and this is what I get. All right, let's do an inside render. Punch it. All right, that's what I get. And let's do an inside and outside render. All right. No surprise here. I knew this was going to happen because the Mandelbulb object is small enough where it does not actually engulf the camera. Let's pick something like, all right, let's see if we can find Amazing Box. Here we go. Where are you? There we go. Amazing Box. Pretty cool. Let's do an outside render. I'm going to calculate it now. And the Amazing Box graphic is so big that it's actually, my camera is engulfed in it. All right. And the reason everything is yellow like that is because the camera is so close in it that it's actually clipping, the graphic. So when it clips the graphic, you think of it kind of like taking an apple and cutting it right down the middle. And then all of a sudden it becomes all flat. All right. So what I've done there is I've clipped the apple. And when you clip the graphic like this, you don't get any detail because it's clipped. So this is what happens when your camera, all right, is engulfed in the Mandelbulb object. The camera is clipping a lot of that, and you get basically no color. You're getting yellow, but you're not getting the detail. So if I have a situation like that, and I'm working with a formula that does this, well, it's pretty cool to have some option where you don't have to live with that. Now, I could go into the navigator and I could navigate back, bring the camera back, and I could do it that way. All right, but they give you the other option. I can say, give me inside render. Now, I'm going to punch it again. All right. Now, my camera now is inside of the graphic, the Mandelbulb object, but it's not clipping. It's manipulating the camera in such a way that I can actually see what's going on inside the fractal object. And that's pretty cool. To give me that kind of capability, that allows me to work with that particular formula or formula set or sequence without being all jammed up and without being forced to go to the navigator and pull the camera back and everything. That's a pretty cool little feature. And it's stuck way down there at the bottom. And who knows about that stuff? So let's do inside and in and outside. What that says is you're allowing the Mandelbulb software to determine whether or not the camera should be inside or outside. Let the software decide. Now, the software has calculated that the Mandelbulb graphic object would be so big that it would engulf the camera, and so it's automatically chosen to give you an inside render. All right? So this says in and outside. It's sort of like really should say in or outside, letting the software decide where that camera should be when the graphic is rendered. Now, it's not a big deal with this amazing box, but I'll tell you, you start getting amazing box and amazing surf. Let's get amazing surf going on here. Where is that? Where'd that go? Okay, let's get amazing surf on that. Punch that. All right. This is inside and outside. Let's do an outside render. Okay. All right. Cool. Let's do an inside render. See what we get. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. You see what's going on here? If I didn't have this little feature down here, it would be very difficult for me to really kind of decide, get a view when I'm working with combining the formulas. Okay. Now let me just end that topic by saying this: that if you are doing an inside and outside render, and you don't need to, you're just utilizing computer CPU processes for no particular value. Let me do a reset, recalculate, and inside, let's do an outside render here. All right. All right. So if you don't need an inside and outside render, then don't ask for it. You're not getting anything. The computer had to work a little harder because the computer had to decide, well, where am I going to put that camera for this guy, All right? So if you're working with a fairly complex Mandelbulb sequence, a sequence being multiple slots with formula assignments, your graphic may become so large that your camera gets engulfed in it and you start slicing or clipping. Then you go to the outside or you go to the inside and outside render as a way to be able to circumvent that clipping problem so that you can move forward and decide your final Mandelbulb sequence. All right, that makes sense? So let's see. Okay, now, okay, so I think what we'll do next in the next session, we're going to talk about properties a little bit. We'll talk about properties, and we're moving up on it. We're going to be talking about these hybrid modes here. We'll talk a little bit more about these formula categories. All right, so we're advancing along pretty well. And we want to get to a point where we actually take all of this cool stuff and we start actually doing something meaningful in terms of creating Mandelbulb graphics based upon what we know. The hybrid modes, all right, combining of the formula slots, working with the properties, the parameters, all right, and then manipulating things like the iteration count and the R bailout. You get to a point where if you know your way around the controls of the application, you're actually able to do some pretty cool stuff with the graphics of the Mandelbulb3D software application, which is a fractal generator. And what we want to do is we want to get this thing to generate some really cool fractals that we can do stuff with, whether it's a high-resolution still that we hang up on our wall, or it's an animation that we publish up on YouTube. The whole idea is to understand your software well enough where you can pull some really cool stuff out of it and be proud of your work. Okay. I'll see you in the next session.